Good afternoon, everyone. Uh, Tom Tylutki here from AMTS, and I'm going to give a brief overview of what we're calling the new AMTS ecosystem. It consists of several components, and the first one we will go through is AMTS Nutrition, which is the next generation of our software. Yes, we did change the name, and we completely changed the interface. There's lots of neat things that we've done with this. Instead of having all farms have separate backup files and everything, now every farm is a self-contained file, and we just keep adding data to it. And that allows us to do some really fun things as I'll highlight some of them. So this is the interface, the home screen for nutrition. And you'll see here, there's a list of the recent farms that you've worked with. So I'm going to go into this one. This is a real farm. Don't make fun of my diets. I make fun of them. I'm all by myself. And you'll see that the entire screen structure has changed. We've gone to a much more modern, clean interface. So all of our menu options are here on what's called the hamburger menu. And if we want to get as much screen real estate as possible, we can collapse this. I still have them here, but we pick up a fair amount of space. Let's keep it open for now. The farm screen is real similar to what you're used to in Pro. One of the first things we did was we merged barns and groups into one screen now. So now we have our barn here and all of the groups in that barn all on one screen. You'll notice we also moved some inputs, for example, activity and things like that. Instead of them being at the barn level, they're actually at the group level now. And the management model that we had under recipe tools on the recipe screen in Pro, we've now moved those inputs to a group level so we can actually get some of those unique outputs like eating time and potential milk loss from sleeping time and like that on a group basis automatically. Also, some things like the average daily gain calculator and the activity calculators are now here as buttons as specific to that group, just to make things a little bit easier to work with. You'll see we've changed things on the menu structure as well, trying to simplify as many things as possible. Feeds, we have completely revamped as well, where all feeds within the farm now are automatically grouped by feed classification. And if we want to look at, for example, under hay crop forage, here are all the forages that are classified that way. And if I wanted to edit it, these three little dots, and the same style as before, where we have the current and the new version side by side. And all of these options now to hide and collapse are much simpler just with these arrowheads. This is also where we will find importing feed analysis. So we just come into import feed analysis, select our feed, select what ingredient it is. So in this case, it would be a purchased hay that we're not feeding right now. So we would select it and it would transfer it just like it does in Pro currently. We also changed the way mixes and recipes work. There's a lot of similarities between these two screens. So I'm actually going to show you on recipes because we've added some powerful features for users to speed up formulation. One is you'll notice that the predicted intakes and like this are down here on the bottom. That allowed us to do some things in this recipe grid that we were unable to do previously. First, you'll see that there's the three little dots. You click on that and that brings up the edit feed screen. Second, you'll see a column here that's ratio. So we can put in a ratio. For example, let's say I always wanted to feed a ratio of 2-to-1 of corn silage to alfalfa silage. Now, as I change the amount of one ingredient, for example, I'll go to 9 pounds of haylage, and my corn silage changes to keep the correct ratio. You can input those either on a dry matter or as fed basis, whichever one you put it in on is the one that it will calculate the other feed amount on. Go back to my original. Mixes. If you notice, here's a mix. And if you click on the name, it expands to show all the ingredients in the mix. And you can change ingredients here, amounts here directly. And when you're all done, click it again and it collapses it. If I click on the three little dots, it'll open up the mix screen loaded for that mix. Back with our recipe, the other thing that we've done, if you notice, I like to have my feeds grouped this way on the recipe screen, where I have grain type forages, hay crop forages, energy feeds, on and on and on. Under display options, you'll see there's now the capability to select how you want these feeds to appear on the recipe screen. You could do it by feed amounts. You could do it by none, which is the way it is in Pro. So whatever order they come in, the last you add a new feed, it goes to the bottom of the list, whatever. I do it by feed type, and that shows us, then you can drag and drop the order that you want. And this is program-wise, so you only have to do it once. The beauty is, if I were to bring in a new corn silage, it would go right here on the appropriate grouping on the recipe list. The output side is basically the same. There are a bunch of new outputs, especially as we get ready for 6.5.6 biology. You'll also notice that we got rid of a lot of tabs. We did this on purpose to get an idea of what tabs people use. And we are slowly going to bring a couple more tabs back that people have requested of us. For now, though, all of those tabs that were here are here under reports. For example, the Met E&P evaluation is as a report. Now, unfortunately, these reports are not live in that if I change a feed amount here, it does not get updated automatically. You have to exit the report and come back into it for it to be updated. Some other things here is if we unmix, let me unmix this. And now I want to go back and let's say I made changes, added a feed, I'm going to feed half my corn in the mix, half the corn outside of the mix. Well, we've done some options there. So here is what was in the mix, what it previously, and here is the recipe. And if I wanted to move an ingredient from the recipe into the mix, I can just click on move to mix. If I want to remove a feed from the mix and just have it be by itself as another line item in the recipe, move to ration. If I want to put 50% of, say, let's take Soy Plus. Let's say that I wanted to feed half of the Soy Plus outside of the mix and half in the mix. I could put 50% here and it would put 50% outside of the mix as well. So it's really there to help when you're splitting some ingredients in a mix, not in a mix, etc. Oh, yeah, geez. Additionally, reports, instead of having to go to each recipe to generate a report for a farm, we've done this now so that you can open the farm, come to the reports tab, and select all of the groups that you want reports from, and then select which reports you want. Now, if you had custom reports that you did in Pro, you'll see another box here that would have your custom reports already converted to nutrition format. So as an example, I selected those three groups, and I will say I'll do the Met E&P evaluation I want to print off for each group to leave on a farm as an example. Well, now here it is as one report, 3 pages. Each page is the same report for the different groups. Other things we've done, you'll see there's this section under tools. So things like water sources have been moved under tools, the feed comparison tool, the feed pricing analysis tool, templates. All of our templates for environmental, activity, ration outputs, and mixes are here under templates. And another thing under tools here, you'll see ration viewer. Well, this is where it gets a blast, folks, really. So on a recipe, if I have a diet and I say, this is the diet I'm really going to feed this group, I can click on implement diet. What that does is it does a snapshot of the ration, the outputs, the animal inputs and everything, and saves them. And when we go to ration viewer, I can come in here, select all over time diets that I've either proposed but did not feed, or diets that I fed. And as I select them, they appear side by side. You can look at the diets, you can look at the results over time, and the ingredients. So like this corn silage, so it's using the appropriate feed analysis at each time point. So for example, September 5th, this was the corn silage analysis that was used, versus March 1st, it's a different analysis. So everything agrees and is lined up with what the feed analysis was at the time that the diet was implemented. Additionally, with this, the data is also sent to the cloud. Now, that gives us one way of how to share data, share farms between users. There's no longer a need to send files. We do it through implement or proposed diets. And it gives us some other options. So here in my web browser, I'm at our dashboard for the cloud-based system, and you will see AMTS Silo. And in Silo, once I log in, you'll see I have farms, rations, mixes, feeds, comparisons. So let's do comparisons. So we'll compare rations, and we'll take from this farm the high cow diet from 1029, and we can do the high cow diet from another farm, and we can compare those diets and the outputs side by side. So, for example, if we wanted to evaluate the high cow diets across all of our farms, then we could bring them all up side by side and see what commonalities are. It opens up all sorts of opportunities for data exploration and data analysis. Can also, if I just come back to a single farm, I can select my implemented diets and not only see the diets across the page, but if I come into outputs, and let's say I wanted to look at how did the crude protein and forage concentration vary over time on this farm. Now I can go into graphs, and there we go. So here's my forage concentration over time, and here's the protein content of the diet over time. Any output that is available there, which is really all of the outputs from the recipe output screen, are on this screen. We can also do the same with feeds and do these comparisons. We can look at mixes. And this is just a web page, and it scales beautifully onto mobile devices. I think the best way to show this scaling on mobile devices is when we look, you'll see there's a section here called Tools, Body Condition Score tool, particle size, and a farm visit. Well, let's switch over to how this would look on my phone. Let me just make the phone a focal point so that it's easier to see. So I will log in to the website, and here is Silo access. So let's go into Silo, and we'll go to Tools. We'll go to the Body Condition Score tool. Let's do a new score. So you select which farm, which location, and which group of cows. So we'll do the lactating cows. This is not designed to do individual animals. This is designed to do a quick walkthrough of groups of animals and do a certain percentage of the group. So in this case, we'll say there's 135 cows in the group. 10% of the group is what we want to score. That's 14 animals. The minimum number is 10, so that we get a decent number to have some confidence. And then you can decide, how do you want to do body condition score? You want a quarter point step, half, full, or the way I do body condition score, she's too thin, she's just right, or she's too fat. Now, as I'm walking through a group of cows, all I need to do is press a button on my phone. And when we're done, click on submit. There's the average, our range, a graph of the data, and we can also go back and look at these values over time. And we can select multiple times as well. There's a table that, that's nice, showing each one, but really it's much better to look at it as a graph. So here's our different time points, and we can throw a trend line to look at how body condition scoring is changing in that group over time. The other tool we have is the particle size tool, where you can do single feeds or TMRs, and the same thing. Look at this data over time, be looking for trends and such. So as an example, if we take a feed, there's how much was on each pan and what the calculated PEF value is. And you can always look at it as a graph as well. The Farm Walkthrough app, the Farm Visit, is really a questionnaire that you can define, that if there's always things that you want to look at when you go on a farm, specific points, specific questions, allows you to do that, and all of that data is saved. That way, if you go on vacation and someone needs to look at something quick for you, we all know that always happens. You do a new diet, go on vacation, and things fall apart. Well, they can then, if they have the appropriate access, see your notes as well as seeing your previous diets. Another component of our new system is called Feed Manager. And Feeds Manager allows you to create and manage lists of feeds that can then be used as feed banks. It can also be used if you're a company and you have mill software, for example, Brill, Format, Best Mix, Libra. It will interface with those systems so that you can export data from them, update the data for your company in Feeds Manager, and then publish that, and it's released as feed banks to the nutrition users within your group, or to other people outside of your group, even if you wish. So that's just a real quick introduction and overview of the new AMTS ecosystem. If you have questions, please contact us, and there's a lot more exciting things associated with this. Thank you, everyone.